The House will come to order. This morning, we are honored to have the Civil Air Patrol Color Guard, Mustang Cadet Squadron.
Halt. Half left and wheel. Heart. Raise that. Huh.
The pledge this morning will be given by Bo Counts, McKenna Reyes, Aspen Crossing Elementary School, Centennial, Colorado, and they are the guests of Representative Alec Valdez.
Please join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Randall, please call the roll. Oh, excuse me. I'm getting ahead of myself. Thank you, Color Guard.
Post the color. Port. Arms. Half right and wheel. Arch. Forward. Arch.
We would like to thank the Civil Air Patrol Color Guard for honoring us with their presence today. Mr. Randall, please call the roll.
Representatives Arndt, Baisley, Beckman, Benavides, Byrd, Bockenfeld, Buck, Buckner, Puenteo, Caravale, Carver, Catlin, Coleman. Cutter.
Thank you.
Duran. Eskar.
Good.
Exum.
We didn't even get to do
Froelich.
most of it.
Really?
Galindo.
Normally people don't talk in that.
Garnett. Geithner. Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Evie Hudat was.
Gray. Hanson. Herod. Hooten. Humphrey. Jackson. Hawkes Lewis. Kennedy. Kip. Kraft-Tharp. Landgraf. Larson. Lewis. Liston. Lontine. McCluskey. McKean. McLaughlin. Michelson Janae. Malika. Neville. Pelton. Ransom. Rich. Roberts. Sane. Sandridge. Singer. Singer. Sirota. Snyder. Soper. Sullivan. Tipper. Titone. Valdez A. Valdez D. Van Winkle. Weissman. Williams. Wilson. Madam Speaker.
I mean, after the journal. After the journal. Okay. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. 65 present, no excused or absent. Way to go, team. It's only day, 100. Representative Malika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the Journal of Wednesday, April 17th, 2019 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. The motion passes. Members, we're going to do a couple tributes first. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Members, could you please be quiet in the chamber?
Welcome to Sportsman's Day at the Capitol. It's not just hot dog day at the Capitol. We have wild game. We have tables and chairs set up on the east steps out there. So it's a great day for sportsmen. It's a great day for legislators. And Representative Arndt and I have a tribute that we would like to have read, please.
The House of Representatives convened in the 72nd General Assembly hereby extends sincere commendations to the sportsmen and women of Colorado. After realizing that America's natural resources were in peril, sportsmen and women decided to support laws and stopped excessive harvest of fish and wildlife. They helped to establish game and fish agencies to protect fish, wildlife, and their habitat, and supported fishing and hunting license fees to help fund the efforts to provide for healthy natural resources for future generations. The sportsmen's community initiated the American System of Conservation Funding with the passage of the Pittman-Robertson and Dingell-Johnson Acts, which directed excess taxes on firearms, ammunition, and fishing tackle to a dedicated fund to support conservation. Further, revenue from sporting licenses was permanently linked to conservation through the establishment of this program. In 2018 alone, the sale of Colorado hunting and fishing licenses generated a combined $73 million in revenue, in addition to $28.32 million distributed to the state from excess taxes on firearms, ammunition, archery equipment, motorboat fuel, and fishing equipment. This revenue supports Colorado Parks and Wildlife to aid in its charge of managing our fish and wildlife for the enjoyment of all Coloradans. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives are proud to commemorate the sportsmen and women of Colorado and honor their many contributions to conservation across the Centennial State. On request of Representatives Jim Wilson and Jenny Arndt, given this 18th day of April 2019, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Wilson. Or Arndt.
Sorry. Madam Speaker, thank you. We just want to recognize the representatives from all the different groups here today. So we have Ron Goodrich from Pueblo West for the Coloradoans for Responsible Wildlife Management.
We'll do all applause afterwards.
You do that? Okay.
And but go ahead and introduce them. I'm just saying we'll hold applause.
Oh, okay, okay. Do you want to just alternate? Down to those. Oh, okay. Then we have Dan Gates from Canyon City for the, oh, I just said that. We have Lou Carpenter from Littleton, the National Wildlife Federation. We have Larry Sudemeyer from Platteville from Ducks Unlimited. We have Sam Wingen from Denver, Ducks Unlimited. We have Pete Eckes from Fort Collins, Ducks Unlimited.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. John Howard Boulder, the chairman of the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission. Ivan James from Monument, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Roger Tucker, Colorado Springs, North American Falconers Association. Don Bourne, Colorado Springs, Colorado Hawking Club. Larry McCormick, Colorado Sportsmen's Roundtable. Willie Kalinsky, Colorado Springs, National Wild Turkey Federation. Please welcome our groups for the Sportsman's Day at the Capitol. Do you have anything else?
Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And colleagues, today during the lunch downstairs that we're going to have hunting, you can sign up for hunting and fishing licenses. So supplement your summer with some more outdoor fun and come on down.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just one slight correction to my colleague. It won't be downstairs. It is out east. We have tables and chairs. It's party day at the Capitol for outdoors people, so we'll see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sportsmen, for joining us today at the Capitol and for contributing to all the yummy hot dogs, if that is you contributing to it, so thanks. Representative Michelson-Janae.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Welcome to Civil Air Patrol Day at the Capitol. I hope you enjoyed the amazing color guard presentation of the colors this morning, and I have a tribute that I will ask to be read at length.
The Senate and House of Representatives convened in the 72nd General Assembly hereby extend sincere commendations to Civil Air Patrol Day. Civil Air Patrol is the congressionally chartered auxiliary of the United States Air Force, and the Colorado wing of Civil Air Patrol has over 800 unpaid adult volunteers and nearly 1,000 cadet volunteers serving the state in air and ground search and rescue, cadet programs, and aerospace education. The Colorado wing has served the citizens of Colorado since 1942. In particular, the Colorado wing served prominently in assisting FEMA and state and local agencies during the Colorado floods and wildfires in recent years. Members of the Colorado wing have refined radar and cell phone tools to greatly enhance search and rescue of downed aircraft and lost persons here and across the nation. Colorado cadet squadrons have also won honors in cyber defense competitions. The CAP is providing flight instruction to several cadets to their private pilot certificate. CAP's aerospace education program provides teaching on aviation's connection to history, math, science, government, and economics in classrooms across Colorado. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives are proud to honor the Civil Air Patrol for their selfless service on behalf of the residents of the Centennial State. Your commitment to civic duty is truly an inspiration to all. On request of Representative Daphna Michelson-Janae and Senator Larry Crowder, given this 18th day of April 2019, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Michelson-Janae.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I want to thank you. I worked very hard with the help of Representative Cutter and Representative Snyder at the beginning of the session to have you all sign up to become members of the Civil Air Patrol. Why is it so important? Because we are showing the Civil Air Patrol our support of the work that they do voluntarily in our community. And we have the opportunity to help out in the measures where they are keeping our community safe. So I wanted to let you know that the color guard today that you got to enjoy was the color guard Cadet Chief Master Sergeant Aaron Avery, Cadet Senior Master Sergeant Daniel Shore, Cadet Technical Sergeant Sydney Luce, Cadet Technical Sergeant Haley Taff of the Mustang Cadet Squadron. And on the floor today, we have very special guests, Colonel Celeste Gamache, Commander of the Colorado Wing, Colonel Glenn Cavich, Government Relations Advisor, Lieutenant Colonel William Robbie Robinson, Government Relations Advisor, and Captain Reed Lester, Government Relations Advisor. Can we please give them a round of applause? Please take a moment at some point and say hello and thank them for their service, because we are so grateful for you and to be a part of you. Thank you, members.
Thank you for joining us today at the Capitol, and thank you for your service. Announcements and introductions. Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege, please.
Members, Representative Carver is taking a moment of personal privilege.
Members, yesterday, unfortunately, there were various statements made during debate on a certain bill, 1263, which may have generated some misunderstanding. And so I just rise today to give context and clarification. To be clear, those who testified in committee, there was an individual from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and El Paso County Sheriff's Office who testified against the bill. During that testimony, a statement was made that the Colorado Sheriff's Association had also taken a position against the bill. The representative from CCI signed in as neutral, but also indicated with concerns. They testified with regards to those concerns. This is the context for my remarks yesterday during seconds on House Bill 1263. I thank the members for their time.
Representative Escar and Same.
Thank you, members. I'm going to speak quickly to my side of the aisle. We need to catch up. Their box is a little bit more full than ours. We need to catch up. If you want to wear jeans on Wednesday, but also, why'd you give your money to her? Just because you sit on that side of the aisle? So Wednesday, pay $5 by Wednesday. You can wear denim, but you also show your support for the annual United Committees taking a stand against sexual violence. I knew this would work. I knew this would work.
And members, just to have some context, this is a contest between, this is a bipartisan event. So it is a contest for this side of this aisle versus this side of this aisle, which I am responsible for.
I'll get you change.
I am happy to say that this side of the aisle, whether you're Democrat or Republican, has been very generous, and I would say probably more than 3/4 of this side of the aisle
Here comes another
has participated thus far. Aren't contests fun?
Okay, Wednesday, April 24th. Pay $5, wear denim, supporting the sexual assault survivors, please. And we're gonna take this off to the side to make your change.
Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, this is more than just something fun to do. It does create awareness for sexual assault victims, and this does raise money for that cause. So we really appreciate your participation.
Thank you, members.
And remember, this side of the aisle is going to win.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now that we have all of your attention, I want to point out that the event that I announced for this morning is actually on April 25th. That is where Dr. Andrew Monte, an ER physician, will come and talk to us about the observations and studies on acute cannabis illness. So this is something that's a little new to us, including psychosis and the rise of marijuana-related ER visits, especially among children. So it is next Thursday, room 109, 7:30 to 8:30. I don't really expect you to remember until next Thursday. I'll be back.
Representative Harrod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the Finance Committee, please listen up. We will be having a finance meeting tomorrow, Friday, tomorrow, upon adjournment, at the request of Madam Vice Chair Tipper. We will be hearing Senate Bill 192, House Bill 1275, Senate Bill 145, Senate Bill 155, Senate Bill 159, and Senate Bill 160 tomorrow upon adjournment. Finance members, if you cannot make it, talk to your fellow colleagues and get your substitutes in. Thank you.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, after you have a good, nutritious hot dog today at the Sportsmen's Caucus, you can come on over to the Claw Caucus. The location has been moved. It's going to be at the Scottish Rites Temple. So for all of you animal lovers out there, it's going to be at noonish at the Scottish Rites Temple. It will not be upstairs on the 3rd floor. So you can have your hot dog. You can have your hot dog and eat it too, and then come over and have cake or whatever for the Claw Caucus at the Scottish Rites Temple. Thank you.
Representative Valdez. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, today's the Health Caucus at noon, so you can stop by the Health Caucus and talk about and learn about the issues with health, and then go over to the Sportsmen's Caucus afterwards. So, thank you.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Education Committee, we have a few bills up today. Senate Bill 104, Senate Bill 179, Senate Bill 59, and Senate Bill 161. I look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Representative Weissman.
Thank you and good morning, Madam Speaker. This is a reminder for Judiciary Committee and others interested. We have 5 bills on our calendar today. Senate Bill 187, Senate Bill 143, Senate Bill 135, Senate Bill 172, Senate Bill 163, beginning at 1:30 in room 112, usual place, usual time. See you then.
Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, many of you may not realize, but today is an important day for people that have a direct impact in our day-to-day life. Today is National Lineman Appreciation Day. And no, Mr. Majority Leader, it's not about football. The work of linemen is high risk, complex, and physically and mentally demanding. It requires specialized education, years of apprenticeship, safety training, and hands-on experience. Linemen build, maintain, and repair our electric lines, oftentimes risking serious injury in dangerous conditions and inclement weather. Think about the bomb cyclones we've had this year. These brave men and women literally went out in the middle of that to be sure they could restore power to our communities across Colorado. So I just wanted to take a second today and recognize National Lineman Appreciation Day. And if you know one, thank them. If you don't, think about reaching out and getting to know some. Thank you.
Representative Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee will be meeting this afternoon at 1:30 to hear 6 bills: House Bill 1317, House Bill 1141, House Bill 1325, Senate Bill 202, Senate Bill 229, and Senate Bill 230.
Assistant Minority Leader Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I have some images to display if I could.
Yay!
Well, thank you, members. And I do want to introduce the body of the people of Colorado to baby Jack Van Winkle. There he is, brand new, as baby girl says. And I want to thank all of you for the warm wishes, the kind regards. You know, A lot of people watch the Car Out channel think we just fight like cats and dogs, and it's true, we do fight on certain policy issues, but it's always amazed me when something happens. We set aside all politics and we're just people. We're brothers and sisters and dads and moms, and we come together, and it's a beautiful thing. I wish we could do it more often here, and it is a bit sad because this time of year we spend more time, I think, with each other than we do our families. So when something happens, we're often the first ones to hear about the good and the bad. But members, you know, life is so precious. And for dads, it's a little different than moms. For moms, I mean, you get this baby the whole time. You get it from the first heartbeat at 5 weeks. And it's a beautiful thing for you. You feel every kick, every punch. If I had $1 for every time I heard my wife, especially with our first pregnancy, say, "Oh, baby's got hiccups again," I'd be a rich man. But for me as a dad, it's all kind of like puzzling and curious. It's a mystery. How does a baby have hiccups, and how do you know this, Mom? But we have our moments too as a dad, and I hope I don't give away any secrets, any dad secrets. But when baby's born, Mom still has some work to do. The doctors still have some work to do with Mom, and they take the baby over to this little special, it's kind of like a heat lamp, warm table. And the baby just sits there, and they check the lungs, they check, you know, make sure baby's breathing. And so the baby has its team of doctors, Mom has her team of doctors. And for a dad, this is an extremely special moment because baby hasn't even been on Mom's chest yet. And the baby is crying, he's mad. The baby boy or girl is just furious because he's been in the protection of his mom this whole time, and he's out now naked in the world. And for us dads, we'll talk to the baby at this point, and it actually calms the baby. You can see an actual reaction. The baby recognizes your voice, dads. And I'll put my finger, and I did this with both my children, and it's the most beautiful moment probably of my whole life, is you'll put your finger out, and baby grabs it. My baby was born a month early, so he's a little weak, needs a little extra weight and muscle. But even a month early, he'll grab that finger and hold on as tight as possible and never let go. So, members, thank you so much for the warm wishes. I wish I could share this feeling with all of you of just pure joy and happiness for my family. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Before Majority Leader Garnett speaks, we have the very unceremonious after that reading of committees of reference reports.
Committee on Appropriations. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following bills be referred to the Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation unamended. House Bill 1240 and House Bill 1277. The committee also recommends the following bills be amended as follows, and as amended be referred to Committee of the Whole. Favorable recommendation. House Bill 1002, 1055, 1085, 1203, 1237, 1283, 1316. Committee on Business Affairs and Labor. After consideration, and Senate Bill 178. Committee on Business Affairs and Labor. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 85 be amended as follows, and as amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Favorable recommendation. Committee on Finance. After consideration of the merits, the committee was following. House Bill 1212 be referred to favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. House Bill 1322 be amended as follows, and as amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. Senate Bill 99 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. Committee on Health and Insurance. After consideration of the merits, the committee was following. House Bill 1287 be amended as follows, and as amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Favorable recommendation. House Bill 1313 be as follows, and as so amended be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Favorable recommendation.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for consideration of third reading of bills. Final passage.
Seeing no objection, the House will proceed out of order for third reading, final passage of bills. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1279.
House Bill 1279 by Representatives Exum and Landgraf, also Senators Lee and Heisey, considering the use of perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1279 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1279 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With the amendment that was put on just the other day to address some of our concerns, because some of these actually do put out fires in a more timely fashion, which will prevent the fire from spreading and are killing firefighters. With that amendment put on, I am a yes vote on this bill.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1279 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Benavides, Coleman, Sullivan. Representative Sullivan will be excused. Please close the machine. With 64 aye votes, no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1279 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1284.
House Bill 1284 by Representatives Titone and Beckman, House Senators Holbert and Moreno, concerning the Board of Directors of the Urban Drainage and Flood Control District.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1284 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1284 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Representative Sullivan has returned. Representative Harrod, please vote. Representative Sullivan, it's a $5 fine. Please close the machine. With 65 aye votes, no votes, House Bill 1284 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1230.
House Bill 1230 by Representative Singer and Melton, House Senators Marble and Gonzalez, concerning marijuana hospitality establishments and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1230 on third reading and final passage.
The question before the House is the passage of House Bill 1230 on third reading and final passage. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Representative Froelich, please close the machine. With 41 aye votes, 24 no votes, House Bill 1230 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1076.
House Bill 1076 by Representatives Michelson, Janae, and Larson, House Senators Priola and Donovan, concerning updates to the Colorado Clean Indoor Air Act and in connection with removing certain exceptions and adding provisions relevant to the use of electronic smoking devices.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1076 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1076 on third reading and final passage. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Beckman, Buckner, Catlin. Please close the machine. With 48 aye votes, 17 no votes, House Bill 1076 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1234.
House Bill 1234 by Representatives Valdez A. and Singer, House Senators Gonzalez and Marble, concerning allowing delivery of regulated marijuana by regulated marijuana sellers and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1234 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1234 on third reading and final passage. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 38 aye votes and 27 no votes, House Bill 1234 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1288.
House Bill 1288 by Representatives Singer and Duran, also Senators Fields and Crowder, concerning increasing protections to allow foster youth siblings to maintain sibling relationships by providing foster youth siblings with certain rights and in connection therewith establishing the Foster Youth Sibling Bill of Rights.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1288 on third reading and final passage.
The question before the House is the passage of House Bill 1288 on third reading and final passage. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. McKean, please close the machine. With 65 aye votes and no votes, House Bill 1288 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1299.
House Bill 1299 by Representatives McCluskey and Rachel, Senator Donovan, concerning flexibility in the contribution rates to a local government retirement planner system.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1299 on third reading and final passage.
The question before the House is the passage of House Bill 1299 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Hooton, McKean, please close the machine. With 65 aye votes and no votes, House Bill 1299 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1298.
House Bill 1298 by Representative Melton, I'll Senator Priola, concerning the use of electric motor vehicle charging stations for parking a motor vehicle.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1298 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1298 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 41 aye votes, 24 no votes, House Bill 1298 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 77.
Senate Bill 77 by Senators Priola and Williams, also Representative Hansen, concerning measures that affect the development of infrastructure used by electric motor vehicles in connection with establishing a process to Colorado Public Utilities Commission, whether by a public utility and under implementation of an electric motor vehicle infrastructure program within the area covered by the utility certificate of public convenience and necessity.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 77 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 77 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 39 aye votes, 26 no votes, and none excused, Senate Bill 77 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 194.
Senate Bill 194 by Senators Garcia and Zenzinger, also Representatives Froelich and Van Winkle, concerning the addition of Colorado State University Global Campus as a designated institution of higher education for purposes of tuition assistance for members of the National Guard.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 194 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 194 on third reading and final passage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Please close the machine. With 65 aye votes, no votes, Senate Bill 194 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1295.
House Bill 1295 by Representatives Rich and Becker, all Senators Scott and Story, concerning a requirement that the county treasurer in specified county serve as the public trustee for the county.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1295 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1295 on third reading and final passage. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members please vote. Representative Byrd. Please close the machine. With 63 aye votes and 2 no votes, House Bill 1295 is passed. Co-sponsors. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1263.
House Bill 1263 by Representatives Harrod and Sandridge, also Senators Marble and Lee, concerning changing the penalty for certain violations pursuant to the Uniform Controlled Substances Act of 2013 in connection with making and reducing an appropriation.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1263 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1263 on third reading and final passage. Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just wanted to clarify a few things. Take a quick minute. I know we cut off at debate a little bit early yesterday because there's been some misconceptions about this bill, and we want to just clarify just real quick. Again, this bill does not make any substance legal that's already illegal at this time. It does not take away the incarceration option. It only deals with petty possession, personal substance addiction. It has nothing to do with drug dealers. No, you cannot have a dump truck full of cocaine and be charged with possession. And this is not an unfunded mandate. We ran an amendment to help with that, help with the counties. But I want to address something real quick. There's been another misconception about an email going around that's saying this could cost the counties, what, $19,000 a day. Well, for the first thing, if you're in the business of throwing people in jail for anything, yes, it could cost you additional money. We have an amendment. We ran that amendment to take care of that. If you want to keep on throwing these people in jail and racking up the bills. We covered that. However, if you choose to use this, if this becomes law, use these new ideas the way they should be, you will save a lot of money. The counties will save money. 70% of the population in most county jails are pretrial. This would affect that. So if you choose to save money, you will save money. If you choose to rack up the bills, then you will rack up the bills. We have additional funds for that, and you will have to answer to your constituents. So I just wanted to make that clear about this bill. Another thing is, there's something that the fiscal note doesn't add. There's something called the felony effect. The felony effect is pretty well known in criminology, where you label somebody with a felony, and then the ramifications of that label is as part of labeling theory. The ramifications of that label is a life sentence. Now the example that I can give is, let's just give an example of somebody who came to testify in the judiciary. It was a mother. Mother said her daughter, I guess around 20 years old, had a knee injury. The knee injury, I guess, led to surgery. They gave her Oxycontins. She got addicted. Now, after she got addicted, she couldn't get, I guess, another prescription, so went off and obtained Oxycontins illegally. Now, let me remind you on this testimony, or on this, when this mother spoke, her daughter was 20 years old and had awards from a major college. I think it was Stanford. She graduated from Stanford, couldn't get a decent job because she had that labeling of a felony. Struggled to get places to live because she had that label of a felony. This young girl was educated, knowledgeable, had skills, but she had that lifelong label where she couldn't use her education or her skills for a job. Now, other examples of this is, you know, as a conservative, and I guarantee you when it's Easter time, we all gather around, and I know there's some people here that, you know, I'm in a very conservative family, and we discuss government, and and there's always somebody that says, gosh, I wish we could stop the nanny state. We could make the welfare system more efficient. Well, this kind of goes back to that. If you start labeling people with that felony for petty possession, they struggle through life. They can't get a decent job, they can't get a decent place to live, and then the welfare system kicks in, which costs us millions. So if you want to get some people off the welfare system, how about we don't label petty possession on people who are hooked on drugs, and then we have to pay for their housing, you know, their income for the rest of their life. So this is a money-saving bill, okay? This has been used in conservative states. This is a liberty bill, liberty, okay? So I want to just make sure this is clear. This will not cost us money, but if there is a jurisdiction that wants to throw everybody in jail and rack up the bills, we can't stop that. So I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And our Easters are very different, Representative Sandridge.
Exactly.
But I really do appreciate you standing up here and supporting this bill. Members, I just want to talk briefly about the war on drugs. Y'all remember this, right? The war on drugs is a collection of laws and policies that seek to prevent and control the use of drugs. It has been a failure. State and federal policies designed to be tough on people who have used drugs has filled our prisons permanently, branding billions as criminals and felons. Contrary to popular belief, the majority of drug cases, 80%, are filed against users for simple possession. The war on drugs has exacerbated drug-related death, disease, and suffering, all while failing at the stated goal of reducing problematic drug use. The brunt of these failed policies has been borne disproportionately by people of color. Discriminatory enforcement of drug possession laws have produced profound racial and ethnic disparities at every level of the criminal justice system. In 2013, the Colorado legislature passed Senate Bill 50, which brought an historic approach to drug sentencing. Leaving drug possession as a felony, this bill intended to focus more on treatment and provide incentives for offenders to seek such treatment. Fast forward to 2019, and the data clearly shows that the good intentions of the 2013 law have not been realized. This is why many members of the people who worked on that task force were neutral on this bill. Indeed, data suggests that the situation has worsened. According to data from state judicial, between 2012 and 2018, felony drug filings has surged 23% statewide, and 75% for those filings are simple possession. So members, this is not a legalization bill. This bill does not allow people to walk around with drugs, illegal substances, and not be arrested. That is false. Arrest may still happen, and if a law enforcement officer turns a blind eye to someone who has thousands of dollars worth of drugs on them, and a DA chooses not to prosecute, I mean, I don't know how else to say that's a little shady, members, but it's also illegal. That would be a massive misuse of their power, and I would quite frankly wonder why. But I want to talk to you guys about, or end with a quote from a top Nixon aide who helped to institute the war on drugs. He said, "You want to know what this is really about? The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people." Do you understand what I'm saying? We knew that we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black. But by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and the blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt these communities. We could arrest their leaders. We could raid their homes and break up their meetings and vilify them night after night and on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about these drugs? Of course we did. Top Nixon aide John Ehrlichman Very common quote. Members, we know what the war on drugs has been intended to do. It has done that. It is time for the Colorado State Legislature to join states like Utah, California, Connecticut, Alaska, and Oklahoma in saying that we will not have felony convictions for simple possession and that we will get people the help that they need. That is what this bill does. If anyone tells you differently, I ask them to read the text of the bill, and I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I really do wish that throwing these people in jail cured them. I really do wish throwing these people in jail would help with recidivism. I really do wish throwing these people in jail was a great bang for the buck of our taxpayers' money. But research study after research study shows it is not. It's a big government activity that has failed, and it's time to slash it. One last thing I want to say, because, and this is towards a bill, but it's a broad comment. Again, to this day, I have not had one citizen contact me against this bill. Emails, none. Phone calls, none. But there has been some other officials, elected officials, that have disagreed. And the DAs had a concern. We ran an amendment. Done. Sheriffs had a concern. We ran an amendment. Done. But one thing I want to stress, my job here is to represent my district while following the Constitution. The end. My job is not to stand up here and say, I'm not going to vote for this bill because some other political official has a different way of thinking. I'm here to represent my district. So when I hear the small minority saying, I'm not voting for this bill, I've yet to hear one person say, I'm not voting for this bill because it will hurt my district.
Members, please be quiet in the chamber while there's a debate on third reading. Thank you. So, please proceed, Representative.
All of the opposition of this bill was because some other political official did not like the bill. I'm not here to represent other political officials' beliefs. I'm here to represent my district. So when people stand up here and say, well, this person doesn't like it, this person doesn't like it, how about we look at if our constituents like it? And then another thing, we have this testimony, and I don't think when some elected officials come up and testify, they say, we don't like certain bills, including this one, because that affects me. That affects the organization I work for. And I think whenever I hear this testimony, they don't see what they're really doing. They're saying, even though if it benefits the entire state, it may put me out a little bit. It may cost me a little bit of money. So I don't want this bill that benefits the whole state. And I don't think when I hear people testifying, they don't understand what they're doing. That's like me coming up here saying, I don't like a certain bill. I don't like a certain bill because it may negatively affect my job as being a state rep, even though it benefits the entire state. So with that said, represent your district. Vote your district. Don't vote to prop up another politician's failed beliefs. And lastly, Texas has used similar strategies.
You've got 15 seconds.
And Governor Perry, after he used these strategies and he found out they worked, he said, I used to be tough on crime, now I'm tough and smart on crime. I ask for a yes vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1263 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Arndt and Hooten. Hooten. Please close the machine. With 40 aye votes, 35 no votes, 40 aye votes, 25 no votes, House Bill 1263 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, just a quick update on what we'll be doing today. I'm going to move to add some bills to the special orders calendar. Hopefully we can get through that calendar by the time afternoon committees meet. I don't think that there's a bunch of stuff on here that should catch us into too long of a debate. I know that I've heard that some people may be here to hear House Bill 1312. That will not be on the special orders calendar, but I just want to make sure I made that announcement. So with that, Madam Speaker, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add to the special orders calendar, but I'm gonna read the order in which it's gonna be in, which is a little bit different than what you see in your calendar. So I move to add the following bills to the special orders calendar and have them calendared in the following order. House Bill 1311, House Bill 1242, House Bill 1292, House Bill 1306, House Bill 1321, House Bill 1315, House Bill 1002, House Bill 1055, House Bill 1085, House Bill 1203, House Bill 1237, House Bill 1240, House Bill 1277, House Bill 1283, House Bill 1316, Senate Bill 86, Senate Bill 3, Senate Bill 162, Senate Bill 170, Senate Bill 185, Senate Bill 174, and Senate Bill 178 on April 18th at 10:19 a.m.
Seeing no objection, those bills will be made special orders calendar at 10:18 a.m. And real quick, it's my understanding, is this correct, Majority Leader Garnett, that we're going to work through lunch? So members, you'll be responsible for lunch. Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez. You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez will take the chair.
Oh, okay. The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the court rule is relaxed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1311.
House Bill 1311 by Representative Singer concerning the creation of the Institute of Cannabis Research at Colorado State University, Pueblo.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you, sir.
I move House Bill 1311 and the Finance Committee report.
To the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the Finance Committee, we had a conversation about ensuring that we do the best research possible with the entities that exist out there. There is one more amendment on the Finance Committee report. And with that, I move L004 to the Finance Committee report.
Thank you. The amendment is before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment just ensures that research and development licensees have the ability to work with the Colorado Institution of Higher Education to accept funds if the institute so deems it so appropriate. With that, I ask for your aye vote.
Is there any, Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Representative Singer, thank you for your work on this. I just want to verify that this is already an existing license. We're not making anything new. This is something that's already in statute.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that is absolutely correct. On line 6 there, it is referencing Title 4411-408. This is an existing license and adds nothing new in terms of licensees.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L004. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. That amendment passes. Representative Singer, committee report.
I move the conference committee, or I move the Finance Committee report as amended.
Is there any further discussion regarding the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Institute of Cannabis Research, whether or not you like marijuana, you love marijuana, or you hate it, we should all be doing strong evidence-based research to ensure that whether there are positive or negative costs associated with it, that we're not putting opinion ahead of fact. That is what this institute is about. This bill brings into place more transparency and more people to the table to ensure that we actually put forward the best policies forward and spend our money wisely, because these are state dollars. So with that, I ask for your aye vote on this bill to ensure that we can have a transparent and effective system that does the best research possible for the people of Colorado.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank Representative Singer for his work on this bill. The Institute of Cannabis Research right now exists at the CSU Pueblo campus, and we've been going through the growing pains of being one of the first institutions to really be researching this kind of this product, and I think that the changes we have made in this bill are actually going to strengthen the process and make it better for the entire state. So I just wanted to say I support this bill and thank Representative Singer for his work.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1311? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1311 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1311 passes. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to proceed out of order for the consideration of House Bill 1292.
Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1292.
House Bill 1292 by Representative Singer and Galindo, Senator General, concerning the reauthorization of the Colorado Resiliency Office and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Representative Galindo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
I move the bill as well as the appropriations report.
That's a proper motion. Please to the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Appropriations Committee appropriated funds. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion regarding the appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the appropriations report. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. Appropriations report passes. Representative Galindo, to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this bill is reauthorizing the Resiliency Office for the state of Colorado. This office was created after the 2013 floods. My district specifically was very much impacted by those floods, and many families were displaced because they lost their homes. So this is a really great program to ensure that local communities are prepared and have the resources needed in case there are catastrophic events that happen in their communities. So right now, the National Institute for Building Sciences estimates that every $1 invested in risk reduction results in $6 saved in future disaster costs. So ultimately, with this program, with this office, we will continue to save money as well as ensure that our communities are prepared. So with that, I urge and I vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to express my thanks to the Resiliency Collaborative that has been working since the floods of 2013, not just on floods, but on fires, and the support that we saw not only from our Boulder County representatives, but from Colorado Springs as well as Larimer County. Their emergency management directors deeply appreciate this bill and have written letters of support because we don't know where the next disaster is going to happen, but we know it will happen. We don't know when it's going to happen, but we know it will happen. This resiliency office will ensure that for every dollar we invest, we'll see a multiplier of at least $6 back to ensure that the homes and property and lives of people of Colorado are protected. And with that, I ask for your aye vote.
Representative McKean.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So, as oft is the case, we have a little history lesson. This bill came out last year, actually, to talk about how we were going to continue the Office of Resiliency, and it was an interesting discussion, and Rep. Singer and I were on that bill. And so one of the big discussions was that the FTE, the employees that have been working on this, were actually working on the basis of gifts, grants, and donations, actually some large grants that got them through the preparation of a resiliency plan. And literally, the work being done was to say, here's how we went about it, here's the best practices we have, and then let's make sure that we memorialize this in a plan going forward. So I will share with Representative Singer my admiration and my thanks for the Resiliency Collaborative. Our folks from Larimer County, our folks from the Springs, our folks from Boulder County. As you all know, much of this work began in 2013 when we were inundated with floods. And so we realized that there's so many agencies working in this space, we've got to come together and develop a plan so that we all work well together. I think that plan has been developed. I also think that there is ongoing work to do. But my commitment last year, when we stripped those employees out of that, out of giving them state budget funding and keeping them on the end of their gifts, grants, and donations, was that we make sure they go and seek gifts, grants, and donations. And to this date, I don't have that comfort. I don't have that comfort that we have gone out there and said to the federal government, we need grants in these amounts so that we can go forward with this work. However, I'm also not going to stand here and say that I know that those grants were available. All I would say is vote your conscience. I think that there was a reason, a good reason why we stripped these FTE last year. I think that we need to make sure that we remain lean and that when we have jobs to do like this, we look at every available resource. So vote your conscience. It is a good program. I think there might be better ways to do it. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1292? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1292. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1292 passes.
Still good for one more?
Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to proceed out of order for the consideration of House Bill 178.
Senate, sorry.
I'm terribly sorry. I meant Senate Bill 178.
Okay. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 178.
Senate Bill 178 by Senator Foote, also Representative Singer, concerning the subsidization of adoption for eligible children in Colorado.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 178 and the committee report on appropriations and public health care and human services.
To the appropriations report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Appropriations Committee simply adopted an appropriation to ensure that our adoption subsidy program works efficiently, and I ask for your aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Appropriations report is passed. Representative Singer to the Public Health and Human Services Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Public Health Care and Human Services Committee worked with a group of stakeholders, including adoption agencies, the State Department of Human Services, and our county agencies to ensure that this new adoption subsidy update works efficiently, and we ask for your aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is the result of years of work with county agencies, with child advocates, with attorneys, with foster youth, with people that have been working to ensure that every kid that gets adopted gets the best resources possible. We haven't updated these laws for about 30 years. It's about time we not only catch up with the federal government, but we actually do the right thing for our kids and support the parents that have agreed to put themselves out there. Support adoptive parents in the way that they deserve so kids get out of a system and get into a family. So in honor of the forever homes, I ask for your aye vote on this bill.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 178? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 178. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Senate Bill 178 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1242.
House Bill 1242 by Representatives Jackson and Jaquez Lewis, also Senators Winter and Tate, concerning the regulation of pharmacy technicians by the State Board of Pharmacy.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1242, the Appropriations, Finance, and Health and Insurance Committee reports.
Thank you, Representative Jackson. To the Appropriations report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The appropriations were appropriated. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Appropriations report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, no. Appropriations report is passed. To the Finance report, Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had several amendments in Finance. One addressed other outlet pharmacies. One changed the word unregulated to ancillary. One was made sure that DORA had proper enforcement authority. One removed the pharmacy technician from the board. One changed the implementation date from June 15, 2020 to March 30th, 2020. And finally, one was a clarification on background check language. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Finance report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Finance report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Finance report is passed. To the Health and Insurance report, Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had an amendment. It's just a conforming amendment for Title 12. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Jackson, there's the amendment and in the, sorry about that. Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. Representative Jackson, to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, folks, this is a big deal to certify pharmacy technicians. The need for qualified and well-trained pharmacy technicians is imperative. I don't know if you know this, but Colorado is one of only 5 states that doesn't require pharma techs to be certified or to be registered. And I'm sure that when
any of you get a prescription filled, you expect that that technician is going to be well trained, and I'm sure you also hope that that person doesn't have a criminal history. So this bill will increase patient safety. It will allow a pharmacist to track a technician who has been previously fired from another pharmacy for medication errors or diversion. That means stealing drugs. Make sure that techs with a criminal history can't be hired at another place without somebody actually knowing about it. Decrease the opportunity for controlled substances, as I said, to be stolen. Allow for the public to actually ask for an investigation if they actually have a complaint. And it'll empower pharma techs by making sure that they are actually recognized as the professionals that they are. I ask for an aye vote.
Members, I'm going to ask you to please take your conversations to the side. It's getting a little loud. Representative Jaquez Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill was brought to us by DORA as part of the 2018 Sunrise Review and the Colorado Pharmacist Society to protect patient safety. We really cannot have proper drug safety without certifying our pharmacy techs. 41 states currently regulate pharmacy techs. Colorado needs to catch up. We ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have the positive and the negative that I want to share after great consideration of this bill in committee. So I think we would all be in agreement, I certainly am, that pharmacy technicians ought to be certified for one very real practical reason, actually several, of course, just competence and so on, but also there have been occasions where a pharmacy tech has absconded with some drugs and is doing whatever, selling them on the side and so on. Someone like that needs to not be allowed to go work at another pharmacy somewhere. So if they were to get fired, there's no record anywhere that says this person has this background and you guys, other people, should not hire them into their pharmacy as well. So things like that. This is a very good idea and it ought to happen. Where I question it, and the reason I gave it a no vote in committee, is because I believe that this is an industry self-regulating effort. Just like so many others, industries that come to the state and say, hey, don't you think this ought to be regulated within our industry? And would you guys do this for us? So what it does is it pushes to the responsibility to the state for the taxpayers to pick up that tab so that the state maintains the database of technicians and their certifications so that all pharmacies can check that as a background check, rather than the industry performing this function for themselves, which would be more proper. This would be true with the real estate folks that want the state to regulate home inspectors and so on. Industries should maintain these background checks and certifications, industry certifications on their own, and not ask the taxpayers to pick up that function and pay for it themselves. So I think it's a great idea, just the wrong folks to execute it. And so I respectfully, to the sponsors, I ask everyone to no vote on this bill. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1242? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1242. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1242 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1306.
House Bill 1306 by Representatives Escar and Galindo concerning the monitoring of Colorado call center job losses.
Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1306 and the Business Affairs and Labor Committee report.
Thank you, Representative Escar. To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the committee, we ran an amendment to to reduce what it is we're doing within this bill. During the process of stakeholder processes that we were going through on this bill, we realized that the Department of Labor and Employment collects some of the data that we are already asking for So what this amendment did is ask that department to gather that information that they already accumulated and put it into a report for us to report back to the legislature during SMART Act hearings so we can begin to dig into this issue, which I will talk about when we get to the bill. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So members, this bill is about call center jobs, and call center jobs have provided important sources of economic growth in dozens of communities across the state, including my own. Some of these communities are reeling from the loss of manufacturing jobs, and then the services that we have here are then outsourced to low-wage contractors and communities. You lose yet another large pool of family-supporting jobs. There's over 46,000 call center workers in Colorado, and since 2012, around 1,500 workers have been displaced because their companies have moved their call center work out of our state. Just some quick recent examples. In March of this year, Wide Open West closed its Colorado Springs call center job, eliminating 200 jobs. I'm speaking to my Colorado Springs colleagues who love Pueblo the way I love Colorado Springs. And in 2017, Express Scripts Holding closed its call center in Pueblo, taking 300 jobs. We felt that. These call center workers literally showed up to find out that they would not be returning back to work tomorrow. Moment's notice. Gone. In 2017, Alorica closed its call center again in Colorado Springs, eliminating 288 jobs. These are real jobs that families depend on. These are jobs that our communities depend on. And when companies decide to outsource these jobs at a moment's notice, it devastates communities. What this bill as amended is asking is to make sure that we can at least start to dig in and look at the reasons why companies are leaving, the reasons why employees are losing their jobs in this manner. We want to be sure that we can start to dig in. The fact that the Department of Labor and Employment already has this information, all this bill does now, as drafted, as amended, is say, give us that information, let us continue the work on this process and start to dig in. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Representative Galindo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, this bill, this issue is something that actually hits really close to home for me. Before I got involved in politics, I worked at 5 different call centers. The first call center that I worked at, I showed up one day to work, and I was told that they had outsourced and there was no more job for me. So, and then there was another call center that I worked at for 2 years. I was consistent there. I loved my job at that point. I was paid a livable wage. It was actually the reason why I was able to finally move out of my mother's house. And then after 2 years, I was laid off along with over 200 other employees. And those jobs were outsourced to the Philippines. So these are real jobs, these, like Representative Escar was saying, that pay a livable wage, that people depend on. Personal experience, obviously. So I think that it's very important that we are continuing to look into this issue, collect the data, see why these companies are outsourcing these jobs, what we can do to keep these jobs here, because families are being affected, and we need to ensure that we're looking out for them. So with that, I urge an aye vote.
Representative Buck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I was fortunate to sit in business yesterday to hear this bill. And I absolutely agree. Call centers are amazing. They provide so many jobs in the community, and they provide some great benefits. My only concern is when we look at what we're doing to the state of Colorado in terms of inviting businesses to Colorado. So I only ask that all legislators look at the environment that we provide Colorado, whether it's putting some major regulations on business, whether it's taxing businesses, whether it's trying to manipulate an unfriendly environment for businesses. So I ask that we look at really how friendly Colorado is going to be, and that we continue to have open doors for businesses to provide these call centers, and that we do protect from increasing of taxes, increasing of regulations, increasing of erroneous laws. So I'm a no on this until we can look at ways to make Colorado more friendly for call centers. Thank you.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, I can appreciate the dilemma that Representative Galindo maybe found herself in, but once again, what we're seeing here as a result of what the various companies that run the call centers, and yes, there are a number of them in Colorado Springs I'm aware of, and there's some in Pueblo. They probably kind of spread them out all over the country, but these companies that run call centers, you know, they are businesses themselves, and they're doing what they can to pay a competitive wage and benefits and so forth. But when we put more rules and regulations on them, and we mandate that there's going to be a minimum wage of a certain amount, and we're about ready to probably pass the FMLI bill that will be a further disincentive for these companies to do business in Colorado. It's no wonder, you know, Colorado does not only compete against other states, we're in a global economy. And other countries, admittedly, yes, they have lower wages, but these companies that run these call centers, they are trying to stay competitive. So when we're putting more rules and regulations and mandates on businesses, which is kind of what this bill is about, it's probably a disincentive for them to want to do business in Colorado. So with all due respect, I urge a no vote on 1306.
Representative Singh.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to ask the sponsors real quick. Is there still a list of shame that gets sent to the SMART Act? You know, shame on you for leaving the state because of our bad business laws.
Representative Eskar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've heard this referred to as a list of shame. This is actually just a list of transparency, but no, that was taken out in the committee. If you look at the amendment that we passed, that entire page 3 was struck. And really all this is asking is the information now that the Department of Labor has on job losses within the industry. They already have those numbers. We want them to compile those numbers, bring them to the SMART Act hearing so we can start to look at the issues brought up by Representative Liston, the issues brought up by Representative Buck. We really do want to start to look in and see, why are we losing these jobs? Why are these jobs being outsourced? What can Colorado do to be better?
Representative Singh.
Thank you for that. Just wanted to double check on that. So right now there isn't any names of companies, just metadata. Okay, thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1306? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1306. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1306 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1321.
House Bill 1321 by Representatives Coleman and Williams, also Senator Briola, concerning the use of an electronic device to verify the driver's license of a person who rents a motor vehicle.
Representative Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
I move House Bill 1321. There is no committee report.
Thank you, Representative Coleman. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Many of you have probably seen the Clear kiosk in the Denver International Airport. Clear is certified by the Department of Homeland Security and allows users to bypass having their identification checked by the Department of Homeland Security by another person. Once you visit the Clear kiosk and have your identity verified by biometrics, your eyes and fingerprints, you can bypass a long line for ID verification and head straight to your security screening. 1321, electronic verification and identification for a motor vehicle rental, will allow a similar type of identification for individuals needing to rent a car. It removes the requirement for in-person verification and allows for that verification to be performed through an electronic device. We ask for an aye vote.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ditto. This is a good bill. It's going to help renters and the people that rent these vehicles. It's going to make their lives easier, and I think this is just a common sense bill, and I want to thank Representative Coleman for having me on this, and I just urge the committee to vote yes.
Is there any further discussion regarding House Bill 1321? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1321. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. House Bill 1321 passes. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1315 until the end of the special orders calendar.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1315 will be laid over to the end of the calendar. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1002.
House Bill 1002 by Representatives McLaughlin and Wilson, all Senators Enzinger, concerning professional development and leadership for public school principals.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 19-1002 and the Education and Appropriations Report.
Thank you, Representative Wilson. To the Appropriations Report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Appropriations Report was simply doing what the Appropriations Committee does, and I ask for a favorable vote.
Is there any further discussion regarding the Appropriations Report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Appropriations Report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, no. Appropriations Report passes. To the Education Report, Representative McLaughlin. Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we decided, we had a small technical amendment in the Education Committee.
Is there any further discussion regarding the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, this bill came out of the teacher shortage study done a couple of years ago, and it asked people around the state why teachers were leaving the profession, and almost a quarter of them said that it was because they had inadequate leadership. This bill addresses that by having great principals in Colorado help train those that could use help so that every school has good principal, good educators, and a good climate in their schools.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, one of the things, as Representative McLaughlin was saying about the leadership piece, we talk about all the things that the teachers have to do in this day and age as far as the educational demands that are made on them. They've got all the standards and assessments and all these things that they have to do. Well, consider the fact that you have the troops that have all these things that are required of them, then you've got the leaders that have got to step out in front of them and take charge and lead through this maze that we've created for them. And we tend to overlook them, and this bill certainly focuses the spotlight on there so that the leadership is not overlooked and they can actually take on the leadership to lead those educators in the classroom.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is an excellent idea that I can't imagine anyone opposing. So consider this in any industry. We fight what we call, famously called the Peter Principle, where we are elevated or graduated or promoted to our level of incompetence. And the way that you get past that and turn good technicians into great leaders is through proper training, especially if they want that leadership role, and we can augment their skills with leadership, with planning and management skills, then that's what this does. So it is a great idea. We ought to fund it, and I voted yes in there, although I had one area, and even based on testimony, that I thought ought to be an improvement, and that area is improvement in not restricting who can be hired to provide that training. So suppose that the favorite person out in Grand Junction or somewhere is a retired school principal. Well, if that school principal is not a nonprofit, then that person cannot be hired. So towards that, Madam Chair, I move L005 and ask that it be properly displayed.
Amendment L005 is properly before us. Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So all this does is it removes the word nonprofit so that the school districts or the schools are not restricted. The Department of Education is not restricted in any sense from choosing who will provide that training. So if it's a favorite principal who's been retired and everyone respects, and that was testimony that we received, principals who were former teachers who had become principals who had relied on retired principals before them to train them up, give them the mentorship. Those principals are not nonprofits. They're individuals that would be hired for profit, for their individual profit, for their consulting fees, and we should not give them that restriction, I believe. So I very much support this bill, and I believe this is an improvement that helps this bill to be successful. So I ask for a yes vote on this amendment.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Representative Baisley, for bringing this up. You often say how great it would be if we could give all of our money to teachers. So I'm just thinking, if we're going to be giving it to nonprofit agencies, we are not sending any to teachers. So I say vote no on this amendment. Thank you.
Is there any further, Representative Wilson?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Baisley, for this amendment, because I've thought a lot about it since you brought that up. And in looking in the bill, in the line just above it, it's a may, it's not shall contract, it's a may. So I think we have the flexibility of that. It doesn't eliminate a for-profit. It says they may contract with a nonprofit. I don't think it eliminates it.
Is there any further discussion on Representative Baisley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the way this word reads, and thank you for that comment, Representative Wilson, the department may contract with a nonprofit entity with demonstrated successful experience in providing training to school principals. Or we could read it, the department may contract with a nonprofit entity. So I can see that it could be interpreted either way. So if this amendment fails, I'd like us to go on record as a legislative body as instruction to anyone who does the hiring in the future or any legal challenges, that it is the interpretation and the intent of the State House of Representatives that this phrase means that the hiring entity has that flexibility to hire someone from a nonprofit or not a nonprofit, so that it could have that flexibility. So I will go with that assertion, but I'll still ask for a vote on the amendment. But if it fails, I would like us to all remember, and future folks who consider the consequences, to see that that's the intent of this body, that they can hire a nonprofit or a profit individual entity. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L005? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L005. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Amendment L005 fails. To the bill, Representative McLaughlin.
Yep. I move House Bill 1910-001-002.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1002? Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1002. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1002 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to proceed out of order for the consideration of Senate Bill 3.
Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 3.
Senate Bill 3 by Senators Enzinger and Quorum, House Representatives McLaughlin and Wilson, concerning the Educator Loan Forgiveness Program to address educator shortages and in connection with making an appropriation.
And we're back again.
You've got the appropriations.
Yes, I'd like to move Senate Bill 19003 and the amendment from the Appropriations Committee, please.
I don't see a
No,
committee
there is no
report.
amendment from the appropriation, so we're just moving the bill.
There you go.
Thank you, Representative McLaughlin. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, colleagues, please pay attention to this statement.
Members, getting a little loud.
Please pay attention to this statement so I can get some brownie points with Senator Rankin. This bill was a result of the Education Leadership Council plan.
Yes.
Senate Bill 19003 talks about loan forgiveness, and it's a possible way to address educator shortages. For those of you that may not realize it, in the state of Colorado on an annual basis, we have vacancies in the educator program of in excess of 5,000 vacancies. We graduate just barely over 3,000 candidates. That's a net loss of about 2,000 positions per year. So we have to import those educators from some other states. This is an opportunity to help to grow our own, first of all, and second of all, to allow them to stay in the profession because of the high number of our people who are going into this profession that have the indebtedness when they get out of college, and the salaries just don't allow them to pay it off, and they go into another area.
Representative McLaughlin.
Yes, and just to let you know, the Wilson-McLaughlin team doesn't just address rural issues. This also addresses teacher shortage all over the state. It does help rural schools, but it also helps schools who have a shortage in certain specific areas like languages, math, science, special education. So it would help loan forgiveness for shortages all over the state.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And colleagues, just one other point of clarification. If you looked at the sunset, it's 2033. And I thought I might not even be around in 2033 for that, and I tried to understand what that was, and once it became clear to me that this program, once you enroll in it, it would close 5 years before that and allow those people to go ahead and pay it out over the 5 years. So actually it's a 10-year program, but allow them to get into the program and have 5 years to carry it out. So that's the reason for the long sunset.
Is there any further discussion regarding Senate Bill 3? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 003. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 003 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1055.
House Bill 1055 by Representative Byrd, also Senator Zenzinger, considering the provision of state financial assistance for public school capital construction in connection with increasing the amount of retail marijuana excess tax revenue that is credited to the public school capital construction assistance fund, increasing the maximum total amount of annual lease payments payable for the state for financial assistance provided under the terms of lease purchase agreements, more precisely tying the total amount of financial assistance provided to charter schools to the number of students enrolled in charter schools.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1055 and also the House Education Committee report, the Finance Committee report, and the Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you, Representative Byrd. To the Appropriations report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In appropriations, we did what we do in appropriations and also appropriated funds to help finance implementation of full-day kindergarten. And with that, I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the appropriations report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Appropriations report passes. Representative Byrd.
You go first.
Okay, so I'm hearing,
Oh, so then do I go just to education?
so just to the committee report, Education Committee report, Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In House Education Committee, we added...
One moment. Oh, okay. Thank you. So now we're to the bill, House Bill 1055, Representative Byrd.
Okay, thank you, members. So House Bill 1055, I'm so excited about this piece of legislation. If this is passed, we have a real opportunity to make a difference in a lot of our most needy schools in the state of Colorado. 1055, if passed, will make sure that our kids, more of our kids, are educated in safe, well-maintained classrooms. You should know that in a comprehensive review of over 8,000 schools across the state of Colorado in 2009, we learned that our schools had a cumulative total of at least $13.9 billion in capital construction needs. This includes needs for repairs, renovations, maintenance, and school capacity issues to alleviate overcrowding in our classrooms. And since 2009, this need has only grown, as shown by another facilities assessment report done by the Colorado Department of Education in 2016. The need has grown by 46%. What we're doing with House Bill 1055 is a common sense bill that costs our state no more money. The funding source are tax dollars that are already being collected from marijuana excise tax revenues. So not only are we investing in our schools that are in such desperate need, but we are honoring the will of the voters to take marijuana tax dollars and invest them in our public schools where they are needed most. And with that, I would urge a yes vote. Please support this bill.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I first want to commend Representative Byrd for the intense stakeholding she has done around this bill, this effort. Coming from a rural school district that has benefited from BEST grants in the past, these are such valuable dollars. We hate to take money away from the classroom. Every penny counts when it comes to teaching our kids. And when we can leverage more dollars outside of the school finance formula to be able to take care of leaking roofs and safety and security issues and dilapidated, crumbling old buildings, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I am thrilled to be in support of this bill, and I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Buck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just have a quick question. Are you taking any funds from charter schools?
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Buck, for that question. We are taking no money from the charter schools. In fact, if you read the bill, you will see that there are specific appropriations made for charter schools and also some equity language so that our charter schools are receiving funding relative to the percentage of public school students that they serve. So I appreciate you calling out that important point that we are making sure all of our family of public schools are being honored and supported through this legislation.
Is there any further? Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think we'd all love to have loans forgiven, but so as a government entity, if we then just forgive loans for government entity employees, it's leaning financial assistance. Excuse me.
Representative Baisley.
I withdraw my comments. I'm on a different page.
Okay.
I'm blaming the majority leader for
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1055? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1055. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1055 passes. Mr. Connor, please read the title of House Bill 1085.
House Bill 1085 by Representative
Mr.
Exum,
Randall,
also
sorry.
Senator Zenzinger, concerning the property-related expense assistance grants for low-income seniors and individuals with disabilities.
Representative Exum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
And with you, sir.
I move House Bill 1085 and the Finance Committee and Appropriations Committee reports.
Thank you, Representative Exum. To the appropriations report.
The appropriations report significantly changed the bill. We kind of shot for the moon with a 20% increase for our most vulnerable in our society, those that are working poor. And the Appropriations Committee reduced the fiscal impact of the bill by lowering the grant and eligibility amounts in the bill, specifically the maximum benefit available for grants, the eligibility income levels, the flat grant or the minimum grant amounts, all are increased by 5% over the current amounts, instead of the more generous amounts included in the introduced bill by 20%. So all of the current amounts you can see in the bill summary on page 2 will be 5% higher. And I ask for an aye vote on the Appropriations Committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the appropriations report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Appropriations report passes. Representative Exum to the finance report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee report, we made a couple of technical changes regarding if someone is on public housing, and we scratched that out and asked for an aye vote on the amended Finance Committee report.
Excuse me. Is there any further discussion on the finance report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the finance report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Finance report passes. Representative Exum to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The background in this bill, members, is known as the Property Tax Rent Heat Credit Rebate, PTC rebate. It's targeted to low-income seniors and individuals with disabilities, most living on small fixed income, who face significant financial challenges in meeting their housing needs. This modest rebate targets assistance to those with most economic need to help them continue living independently in the community, in their homes or apartments. The rebate helps offset the property taxes, rent, and heating expenses. The current rebate is extremely low and has not been increased since 2014. And like I said, with the appropriation report, we're asking for a 5% increase and ask for your support in helping our seniors and people with individuals with disabilities stay independent, and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1085? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of, Representative Liston.
Thank you. Madam Chairman. Representative Exum, I'm curious. I was looking here on the bill, and it says the property tax and rent assistant grant is increased from $700 to $850. Is that a month or per year?
Representative Exum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that has been reduced to a 5% increase, and that is from $700 now to $735.
Okay,
and,
thank you.
And thank you for the question. The rebate only comes, individuals have to pay their rent, pay their utilities, and then once a quarter, they apply for the rebate, and the average rebate amount is about $400.
Representative Liston.
So, okay, thank you. So this property tax and rent assistance grant, there again, is that per quarter or per month? It doesn't, I'm just looking here at the bill summary.
Yes,
so is that spread out over the year?
Representative Exum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a monthly rent increase, but they apply for the rebate once a quarter, so 4 times a year.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was the only one in committee that voted no on this. In an environment where we seem to really not care about the rates going up for our middle class and lower middle class, I felt that this was really inappropriate to be looking at this. We have so many people that are just on the bubble that are going to be so impacted in rate increases this year for some of the legislation that we are passing, that aren't going to be able to pay their energy cost and are going to have to make some pretty tough choices that were not included in this bill. And that's why, out of protest, I voted no on this bill.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1085? Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, I really want to urge a strong yes vote on this bill. This is really the least that we can do for some of the truly most struggling, lowest income folks in Colorado. I worked on a version of this bill in the past. It had bipartisan support out of this chamber. Unfortunately, it did not proceed in the other chamber, and I'm grateful that Representative Exum is picking it up and trying to get this done. This is honestly a very meager benefit for folks who are barely getting by. We are making a very modest adjustment here, and I think to vote this kind of thing down is an example of penny-wise, pound-foolish policymaking. The premise here is keep folks in their home so they do not then get displaced and start to, A, be in a condition of misery, and B, to need greater supports from public infrastructure. So I think this is a very modest step. I really think that we should all be in support, and I commend the sponsor for bringing it to us.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1085? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1085. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1085 passes. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1203 until the end of the special orders calendar.
Seeing no objections to laying over House Bill 1203 to the end of the calendar, Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1237.
House Bill 1237 by Representatives Cutter and Will, also Senator Woodward, concerning licensing behavioral health entities.
Don't worry, I'll wait for you, sir.
My bad.
You're good.
Sorry, Lisa.
Yep.
Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
Thank you. I would like to move HB 19-1237, along with the committee reports from Public Health, Finance, and Appropriation.
Representative Cutter, I see appropriations and healthcare and human services, no finance report. So would you like to move the appropriations report and the public health and human services report?
Yes, please. I move the finance and the public health reports. The appropriations and the public health reports.
Thank you, Representative Cutter. To the appropriations report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The appropriations reports just amends to reflect, there's a few amendments that reflect federal block grants that will be able to be applied that we didn't know about, which lowered the note significantly, and we received an appropriation.
Is there any further discussion on the appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the appropriations report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Appropriations report passes. Representative Will to the committee report.
Oh. What?
Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the committee report, we just had one technical amendment, and we struck the safety clause.
All right. Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
Thank you.
Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Will.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you, sir.
So this 1237, it's a good bill. It creates a system for licensing behavior health and all under one entity. It's a kind of an umbrella thing where all these entities get licensed under one license. It's a good thing for Colorado. The current framework requires facilities to be regulated by multiple regulatory bodies, and this process creates inconsistencies and inefficiencies that lead to administrative burden and ultimately limited access to needed care. So in our rural areas, this is a huge bill for us. It's kind of a one-stop shopping for mental health. It's also a huge benefit for our law enforcement agencies in these rural areas. So I ask for an aye vote on this. Good bill.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1237? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill, or the passage of House Bill 1237. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. House Bill 1237 passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1240.
Would you take
House Bill 1240 by Representatives Kraft, Tharp, and Van Winkle, all Senators Court and Tate, concerning sales and use tax administration in connection with establishing economic nexus for retailers without physical presence in the state, codifying the destination sourcing rule for a specified exception, requiring marketplace facilitators to collect and remit a sales tax for sales by marketplace sellers in the marketplace facilitators marketplace, and repealing obsolete statutory references to remote sellers.
Whoa, that was nice. Representative Kraft Tharp.
Thank you. I move House Bill 1240. I move the business report, and I move the
Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Representative. To the Finance report.
So in Finance Committee, we tweaked the definition of marketplace facilitator at the request of stakeholders, and we also clarified the sales taxing districts for the auto industry, and we ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion on the Finance report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Finance report. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. Finance report passes. Representative Kraft-Tharp, to the committee reports.
To the Business Committee report, we introduced changes to the marketplace facilitator definition. We made some technical changes in the bill to help Representative Benavides, and and we ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion on the committee reports? All right. Seeing none, the question before us is the passage or the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill, Assistant Minority Leader Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, this bill, members, has been a long time coming for Colorado. It comes out of the Task Simplification Task Force, say that five times fast, which has been meeting all of the summer of 2017, 2018, and now we have House Bill 1240. It's an effort, members, to simplify our taxes for the state of Colorado, to level the playing field for our in-state Colorado retailers, and to provide some predictability for our taxpayers and business owners. This is, frankly, the direction our nation is moving in as every state tries to cope with keeping up with the speed of commerce. For Colorado, we've been trying to simplify our tax code for decades, and it's been very difficult, but luckily technology has reached the point where we're getting help in doing that. To throw fuel on the fire, the Wayfair decision came out last year, and that brings us to where we are today. Members, I can only find 6 states that aren't either discussing creating an economic nexus, which is some of the key things this bill does, or they've already done it. Both Wyoming and Nebraska, their economic nexus takes effect. Their bill that's very similar to this, let me use plain language, takes effect July 4th. Utah, North Dakota, and South Dakota, they're already taking effect. Texas, their bill similar to this takes effect, or it just took effect on April 4th. And the reason Colorado is a little bit behind the curve here is because we have unique challenges in Colorado. We have, more than 750 different taxing districts geographically. You know, there's a hospital district here, school district there, and they're all different. And so previously this year, Representative Kraft-Tharp and I, chair of the Simplified Task Force, passed another bill which will move us in a big way to simplifying taxes for the people of Colorado and our businesses. And that brings us to this bill, House Bill 1240, that comes from the Simplified Coalition and the task force. I ask for your yes vote.
Representative Kraft-Tharp.
Thank you. So this bill does 5 things. It establishes an economic nexus of $100,000 for retail sales made by retailers without physical presence. It codifies the Department of Revenue's destination sourcing rule for state sales tax collections. 3, it establishes an exemption for in-state small businesses under $100,000 of revenue to source their sales to origin sales until the electronic system is in place. 4, it requires marketplace facilitators to collect and remit sales tax on behalf of their marketplace sellers. And 5, it repeals outdated references to remote sales and remote sellers. That was added in 13-1295. We ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1240? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1240. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. House Bill 1240 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1277.
House Bill 1277 by Representatives Eskar and Cutter, also Senators Todd and Winter, concerning the creation of the Computer Science Grant Program.
Representative Eskar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
And with you.
I move House Bill 1277 and the Education Committee report.
Thank you, Representative. To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the Education Committee, we had 2 amendments. One was to just kind of clear up some language, and the other amendment was to make sure that we put in the title that any of these grants that are given No more than 50% of that total grant award can be used strictly only for technology. I'd ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. Representative Cutter to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this bill does a couple of good things. It provides a grant program for computer clubs and computer access classes and things for underrepresented populations. So that's the first part. The second part is that it requires, as part of the grant, that you have to report back in. So it's a data collection mechanism. So it's a way that we can track and see what the reality is out there in terms of computers and how many women and people of color have access to computer programs and education.
Is there Representative Escar?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Colorado lags way behind in terms of expanding computer science, and the significant number of open jobs in computer science is one marker of that. Universities in Colorado only graduated one new teacher last year who is specifically prepared to teach computer science. We need more Colorado students in the pipeline, and early exposure is one way to encourage it. I have a friend who actually works in a school district in my area who is their IT person. She's not a teacher, but she is their IT person. And because the school district didn't have the resources available to really start teaching students in these areas how to really dig in and learn how to code, how to start working in computer sciences, they came to her and asked her, do you have some time? And she said, sure. After school, she sat down, she spent time with them, helped them kind of learn what was happening, and she realized, she actually approached me about this a few years back and said, why don't we have more programs like this in schools? This bill is a grant program that actually incentivizes school districts to develop clubs, make courses, making sure that we are exposing those in underrepresented areas and girls to make sure that we get more women in this field to actually learn how to code, learn how to work in computer sciences. It's a voluntary program. We ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this simply, my objection to this is that this does not rise to the level of state law. The idea of encouraging women or young ladies to participate in the computer science clubs or to pursue IT, computers, programming, and so on as a career is a fine idea. There's nothing wrong with that, and I would encourage that. I look at our youth and think, boy, wouldn't it be great if a lot more of them would get involved in studying our founding principles, our founding documents, going through the Federalist Papers, and knowing to elect the right kind of people to office who won't support bills like this. This is not something that we ought to be doing. So this looks at the number of students, the types of students who are participating in just this one area, because we didn't talk about mechanics and we didn't talk about education or anything like that as being underrepresented. This picks just this one career and saying, well, look, there's not a balance of gender in representation in pursuing that career. So let's try to manage and engineer that society to behave in a way that would make more sense to us as state representatives, as the legislature. It's not an appropriate use of tax dollars. It is not the kind of social engineering that we ought to be doing. It's a great idea, but it should be accomplished through leadership and some phone calls and encouragement, some great speeches and some getting involved down at the school level itself. I do that. I'm sure that the sponsors of this bill do that. That's as far as it should go. We should not put money to it. We should not try to engineer society. So I urge a no vote on this bill. Thank you.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Baisley, I need to respectfully disagree. This isn't about engineering society. This is about educating our future workforce. Never before in our history have we been challenged in public education to make sure that kids are ready for jobs that haven't even been imagined yet. And certainly on the forefront of technology, we have an obligation. We have a responsibility to prepare our kids for what lies ahead. The $250,000 that will fund this grant program is a drop in the bucket for what we really need. We do not adequately fund our schools in this state. This is simply a way to help some struggling school districts open some doors, create community buy-in, community partnership, and help drive interest into a field that clearly is very important to all of us and to the future not only of this state but this nation and our world. With that, I urge an aye vote.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And colleagues, I know you're going to find this rather strange when I get up here and say that I agree with everything that Representative McCluskey just said, and I agree with what the bill sponsors say. But the problem that I had with this bill is putting the cart before the horse. And if you haven't had that experience, it's a whole lot easier for a horse to pull a cart than it is to push it. And I kept asking, where's the data that says that we need this specifically the way it's set up? And I did not get that answer. I still don't have that answer. I know that we have a lot of needs as far as computers are concerned. I know that we have a lot of needs across the state. The technology piece, because we talked a lot in that committee about, well, we've got to have them ready to go in the STEM fields, and I'm thinking you better have them ready to go in the auto tech field because they're going to have to use computers there, and they're going to make more money than they are in the STEM field anyway. But the issue was, we know that we've got a lot of needs out there. We just didn't identify the specific need that we were addressing here other than trying to get some equity in this. And so consequently, I was a no vote because I just hate to see us putting money into a program when we don't have the data that shows that that's really where we need to do it. Thank you.
Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Representative Wilson, as we had this friendly debate during the committee hearing as well. One of the parts of the specific legislation is actually to get that data that we just don't have. So when a school district or an organization is going to ask for these grants, one of the things they have to do to receive these grants is report back to us who's using it, the utilization, and what's needed. So the fact that we don't have this data, that this isn't data that's being collected now, is actually an incentive for this bill, and it's part of the conversation that we have within the bill itself that says if you are going to use this grant program, we ask that you give us back this data. So want to also say this is not a mandate. School districts who don't want to do this don't have to do this. School districts that have been trying to find ways to really explore this course area, this is an opportunity for them to apply for the grant.
Representative Buck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I honestly think this is a great bill, but I want to start first with thanking the Colorado taxpayer. And when someone says $250,000 is nothing but a drop in the bucket, there is not enough money for all those drops in the bucket for those special areas of need. So with that, I do ask for a no vote. We don't have that much taxpayer monies to just keep trying to dribble around for special areas of need. It's got to be teach the public, do public education funding, but please make it fair and get all the monies we can to the salaries of teachers, and let's take care of the salaries of teachers. Thank you.
Is there Representative Cutter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would like to point out that a recent study by the Women's Foundation suggested that, or found that 46% of the total Colorado workforce is made up of women, and yet they are less than a third of all STEM workers in Colorado. There's more than 16,000 open computing jobs, and they pay well. This is an economic issue as well. Getting women and underrepresented populations into these jobs is going to come back and be an economic bonus for Colorado, so I urge a yes vote.
Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm so passionate about this bill, I forgot that I have a technical amendment I need to run, so I move Amendment L003 and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment L003 is properly before us. Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, what this amendment does is fix some dates that we had discrepancy in dates within the draft itself. That's what this bill that's what this amendment does. I just ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L003. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Amendment L003 passes. Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good bill. Vote yes for the future of our kids.
Is there any further discussion regarding House Bill 1277? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1277. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. House Bill 1277 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1283.
House Bill 1283 by Representative Roberts, also Senator Rodriguez, concerning requiring insurers to disclose certain information concerning insurance policies.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1283, the Judiciary Committee report, and the Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you, Representative Roberts, to the Appropriations report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the Appropriations Committee this morning, we made an appropriation. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion on the Appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations report to House Bill 1283. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The report is adopted. To the Judiciary report, Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the Judiciary Committee, we added 2 amendments, mostly at the request of the Division of Insurance, to make it clear that this applies only to automobile insurance, fix some dates, and made clear as to where this information is going to be sent and who enforces the law if it passes. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Judiciary report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary report to House Bill 1283. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, House Bill 1283 is a great bill for transparency. In auto insurance, this bill would make it clear that when a claim is going to be filed, that the insurer disclose the extent of their claim. This is an aim to reduce litigation, to reduce court costs, and encourage settlement in all of these car accident cases that we unfortunately have in the state. It's a good bill for transparency and reduced litigation. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1283? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1283 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The bill passes. Mr. Randall, please read title of House Bill 1316.
House Bill 1316 by Representatives Hansen and Landgraf, House Senators Winter and Cook, concerning modernizing marriage laws related to minors.
For tomorrow.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and I move House Bill 1316 and the State Affairs Committee report.
And the Appropriations report?
Thank you, and the Appropriations report.
Thank you. Representative Hansen to the Appropriations report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Appropriations Committee met this morning and approved the appropriation, very relatively small amount, to make sure that we've got the resources needed to implement the bill, and I ask for your approval.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations report to House Bill 1316. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The report is adopted. To the State Veterans and Military Affairs report, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very straightforward committee meeting on state affairs. No major amendments, and ask for your approval.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the State Veterans and Military Affairs report to House Bill 1316. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Hansen.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And now that we're on to the full discussion of the bill, members, really ask you to take just a moment to consider 1316 in the important work that we're trying to accomplish here. We have a situation in Colorado where we have no minimum age of marriage. We have had 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds getting marriage licenses in this state over the last 20 years. It is time to put in more protections for these young people. We know there are situations where people are being trafficked, where marriage licenses are being used to skirt other laws, visa violations, etc. It is time for the state of Colorado to update, to modernize its marriage laws. It's far past time. And so I urge your support of House Bill 1316.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this bill has taken us 2 years to get it here to the floor. It's been a pretty grueling process with multiple stakeholder meetings with people from just about every organization that exists in this capital. And as soon as we fixed one thing, another problem popped up. This bill is a good bill. It does protect children. I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1316? Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, I heard the bill in committee, and I was a yes vote. I did bounce a amendment idea off of, I think Representative Landgraf was the one in the room at that moment, but my concern was, not with the protections for those 15 and under and the additional rights that are protected, but with the issue of parental rights just not being, just the oversight of that, and just the lack of respect for parental rights. So I was scratching my head, and I asked the bill sponsor, what about in the instance where we're talking about someone who is 16 or older, and the parents consent, and the other party to the proposed marriage is not more than 2 years older than the underage party. So we could go ahead and continue to respect that. This is not an age range of 16 to 18 where we see the sort of human trafficking and those kinds of issues. And so to preserve the parental rights in this area, I proposed essentially what you'll see on L003, and I move L003 and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment L003 has been moved and is properly displayed before us. Representative Humphrey, please continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so there is essentially the language before you, which family advocates are in support of, in order to keep the government out of that decision, where a family should be able to conduct their own business. And again, this isn't an area where we're seeing the abuses in terms of human trafficking and arranged marriages and those sorts of practices. So one thing that I did think was on line 6 and 7 on the amendment, actually line 6, was that we should probably add in consent to letter A there. And for that sake, I move L004 as a substitute amendment. And this is exactly the same, but what it says is that the underage party...
Representative Humphrey, one moment. I just want to make sure. Okay, amendment is properly displayed. Please proceed.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, thank you. The underage party is over the age of 16 years and consents to the proposed marriage. I didn't want to leave that implied in any way. So I think this is a solid amendment. It respects the way that we are able to govern ourselves and our own families currently within this age range, and I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L004? Representative Hansen.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I really want to remind the members this is not a bill about parental rights. This is a bill about protecting young people. We have put in place a process that has been well vetted with many, many stakeholders over the last 2 years. Parents are explicitly included in the GAL process. If you take a look at the bill, parents are included. But the number one thing the GAL is trying to evaluate is it in the best interest of the minor? This is not about parental rights. This is about protecting young people. I ask you to reject this amendment.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would agree with my co-sponsor, and I agree because of this very language. The underage party is over the age of 16 and consents to the proposed marriage. If we were absolutely sure that these underage kids were consenting to the marriage, that they weren't being forced or coerced or sold into this marriage, we wouldn't be in this situation. And that's the job of the GAL, to work with the parents, with the kids, maybe taking them aside, making sure that they are consenting before we go forward. Neither one of us is up here to stop 16-year-olds from getting married. We're up here to stop 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds being sold into marriage. I have a letter from an underage, we called them a child bride, but I'm going to wait until tomorrow to read this letter.
Representative Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm fully supportive of this amendment. I love guardian ad litems. They do a very good job in the state. However, if you read this amendment again, it's not required if. Consent is something we've talked about in this chamber ad nauseum. This amendment, I think, puts some good guardrails on this bill. And by the way, a GAL does not supersede parents. That's the point that I think Representative Humphrey was trying to make. Again, I think this makes a bill with very good intent is something that we can all support. Thank you.
Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is a little bit different from what I heard in committee, because what I heard in committee is that we were trying to prevent the person who was, in their 20s, 30s, and there was an arranged marriage that was exploiting the underage child, and that's what we're trying to avoid in the bill, and I fully support that. But the notion of a guardian ad litem having to interview the parents when we're talking about just a 2-year age difference above 16 and older, I think that's inappropriate. I don't think that we've had problems with that. I didn't hear that we had problems with that in committee. This is not the age range that is problematic. So I urge an aye vote on this, because parental rights obviously has to do with this bill, because it's being excluded and the government is coming into the middle of that family relationship. So for that reason, I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, we do have communities in this very state that do force underage children into marriage. I have an email from Lydia Wologorsky. I'm sure you all know her. And she explained why the GAL is so necessary. I'm going to read it to you. This is a bill about the full and free consent to marriage. Full and free. A GAL is necessary precisely because the perpetrator of a forced marriage is most often the parent. If the court does not have the benefit of a trained GAL helping advise on the minor's best interests, and the minor does not have the benefit of an objective advocate in that GAL who can give the minor reliable info about rights and resources available to the minor, especially if she is facing threats and does not really want to marry. And this can be a 16-year-old being forced to marry a 16-year-old, or a 17-year-old, or an 18-year-old. There's no age limit on these types of forced marriages. Then both the court and the minor are left to rely on the assertions of parents who may be self-interested or abusive. And they may not be either of those things, but they're still forcing their kids to get married. The GAL helps surface the truth of the matter that parents who may be obfuscated by perpetrating parents or coerced minors who have been threatened and coached as to what to say. It goes on, but one thing I wanted to point out: the constitutional rights of parents to the care, custody, control, and upbringing of their children depend on that child being treated as a child. A marriage puts that child into an adult and legally binding relationship, even before he or she has reached the legal age of majority. So that's something to keep in mind, and that's the reason for the GAL at any age, just to make sure that the two people, regardless of their age difference, are actually entering into a marriage by choice, not by coercion, not for any other reason other than their choice and their love.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate those words, but again, it does say consent on here. This is an adult arrangement. This is an adult decision that these 16-year-olds are making, and again, this is on a very narrow band from 16 to 18, or 16 to 17. So again, it does say you have to have consent, so I think that's important to say.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just again, the amendment does say that there has to be consent, and where I don't think, from what I've seen, the data does not support saying that this age range is problematical. So I would respect Colorado parents and the integrity of their family in this certainly in this age frame, and I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L004. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. Amendment L004 fails. We are to the underlying amendment L003. Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think L004 was the point of it, so I'll withdraw L003. Thank you.
L003 has been withdrawn. We are back to the bill. Is there any further discussion regarding House Bill 1316? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1316. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. House Bill 1316 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 86.
Senate Bill 86 by Senator Lee, also Representative Byrd, concerning updates to the laws governing business entities in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 86 on second reading.
Great. To the bill.
Members, Senate Bill 86 is an important update that makes necessary changes to Colorado's Business and Corporations Act and Colorado's Corporations and Associations Act to ensure that our laws keep pace with changes that are being adopted in other states, to facilitate modern transactions, to delete antiquated provisions within our business corporations codes, and also to add clarity to existing laws so that they are more easily complied with. These are important changes that facilitate efficient, predictable transactions and a healthy business climate in the state of Colorado. For all of these reasons, I ask for your yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 86? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 86. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 86 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 162.
Senate Bill 162 by Senator Quorum, also Representative McCluskey, considering continuation of the River Outfitter Advisory Committee in connection with implementing the recommendations contained in the 2018 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Just before the bell, Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry about that. It is an honor to serve on time with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
Colleagues, today, Senate Bill 162 gives us the renewal of our River Outfitters Advisory Committee. There is a companion bill that is moving along a little bit slower, but now that the snow is starting to melt and the white water is flowing, it is important that we continue to provide the right sort of structure to license our river outfitters and make sure that everybody is safe on the water. With that, I urge an aye vote.
Representative McCluskey, I apologize. Can you move?
I didn't move the bill. I move Senate Bill 162 to the Committee of the Whole.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 162? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 162. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 162 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 170.
Senate Bill 170 by Senators Rodriguez and Tate, also Representatives Herod and Soper, concerning an inquiry into a college applicant's non-academic conduct prior to admission.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 170.
That's it? Representative?
Thank you, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 170? Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also ask for a yes vote. This is a bill that would add ban the box to college applications. It would help get more individuals into colleges who've had a criminal background. It is something that really shouldn't be there, and I would ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I was not in this committee to hear the discussions, but for the sponsors, we hear so much about our colleges and state institutions of higher education, the concerns about safety and security for the kids that go to college. A lot of them are very young, leaving home for the first time, in dormitory type situations. And I'm just wondering, how do we, on one hand, approve a bill like this, and on another hand, make sure that parents can feel comfortable in a college setting? That crime is actually a big concern. Sexual assault, physical crime is a big concern for many parents. And I'm wondering if this is a concern of anyone in the hearing.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, and thank you, Representative, for asking that question. In fact, it did come up in the hearing, and as my good friend, Representative from Hot Dog Land, mentioned, the universities were actually not concerned about safety. They feel like they can safely implement this law, and so that wasn't something that that they were concerned about. There are specific carve-outs in the bill that they asked for, and we did give them that, and so that is where we are. I will note that the community college system came and testified and provided a great testimony, specifically about the fact that they actually don't have the box on their applications. They have the most diverse student body in the state through the community college systems, and safety has not been a concern due to that box. So I want to state that. Additionally, not having the box on the application, of course, does not allow for someone to commit a crime, and they can still ask questions about criminal history if they are looking at, for instance, housing. This is only for admissions, so I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so that is good to know that housing would be a cutout in this bill. I am concerned that a lot of kids are very naive. They go to college when they're 18 years old, the first time away from home, and they are put in a co-ed or a dormitory situation. And I'm just concerned that I have heard a lot of concern about colleges and the concern about crime and sexual assault. And so I'm just wondering if other states across the nation are doing this, or if it might impact the enrollment of our state institutions. Because if I knew this, I might look elsewhere, sending my 18-year-old to a state institution.
Apologies, Representative Soper.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So I will answer that question. This bill only applies to admissions. It does not apply to living in the dorms or residence halls, as the modern term is. I also want to emphasize one other thing about this bill. It's really rare to have unanimous support in this building. This bill came out of the Senate with unanimous support, and given the toxic nature of the Senate, to be able to say that a bill came from the Senate to the House with unanimous support is really encouraging. We added the sideboards. We have gone ahead and excluded certain elements. So if you have stalking or sexual assault or domestic violence, all that is a carve-out that's not included, so the institution can still ask or inquire into that. And we didn't tell them how they might want to do it. They just are permitted to do that if they feel so compelled under this bill. I believe this bill has the appropriate safeguards and would still ask for a yes vote.
Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is another one of those great ideas that does not rise to the level of state law. So this idea, which is good in nature, should be accomplished through a series of phone calls from the sponsors to the university presidents, and just encourage them to look at doing this. And a lot of them will come back and say, well, like what we heard in testimony, we already do this. Or in one case, the University of Colorado saying, we have hesitations, we're not so much in support of this idea. Thing is, we're legislators. We are not campus coordinators. We do not operate institutes of higher learning. This is not our job to tell a university or a college how they ought to be running their show. Not that it's a bad idea, but you just pick up the phone and you talk to the university president or the college campus president, and you say, hey, listen, wouldn't it be a great idea? And they can give you their response on what they've tried before, what works, what is in their policy, what they might change in their policy, how they might advance the idea. But we should not make law to force them to do anything that they wouldn't already have come up with. Or if it's a great idea, make the suggestion and work with them on it. It does not rise to the level of law. Government is force. We should not be forcing this issue. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I will agree with Representative Baisley that we are not campus coordinators, we are legislators, and I believe we have a responsibility and a duty to be looking out for the workforce in this state and making sure that we're doing everything we can to support their education, making sure they have the knowledge and skills to be successful, and to help our economy continue to thrive. One of my deep convictions and beliefs is that education can be life-changing in ways that some of us cannot even imagine. And for so many individuals who have served their time and deserve that second chance, that opportunity to redirect their life path, education can be the key to that success. I am really proud and believe that it is the state's responsibility to set that bar high, to remove the box from the college admissions process and stand up for all those individuals who want to engage in a process not only to make their life better, but to keep our state's economy strong. I urge and I vote. Thank you.
Representative Buck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do love it how the legislature thinks that they know what's best. And if universities want to ban the box, let them have that choice. But for us to think that we can dictate what colleges should or should not do is out of line. So I think we all think sometimes we know what's best, and we think that one size fits all, and we think the government's better, but folks, that's not our job. We are not where the rubber meets the road, where the students apply. So let the colleges decide, and let's us keep our noses out of it. I urge a no on this bill. Thank you.
Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I misspoke. It was MSU was opposed. CU was neutral, but they sure look nervous to me. But I wanted to correct myself because I said the wrong thing. My apologies.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, you know, it's interesting to hear this debate about how we are legislators and shouldn't be telling the colleges what to do. I agree we're legislators as well. But what we have to do is look at the state in a much larger and more macro vision. And what I love about this bill is that by helping some people who have a criminal background get an education, you're not only helping that individual in terms of their professional goals, but you're keeping them out of jail, you're keeping our prison population down, you're impacting so many other departments beyond just higher ed by passing this bill. So I appreciate the sponsors bringing this forward, and I hope that this legislature, will have a broader vision beyond just what the colleges are doing, and the fact that this really does impact and help many departments that we oversee as a body.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 170? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 170. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 170 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 185.
Senate Bill 185 by Senators Fields and Lundin, also Representatives Landgraf and Roberts, concerning protections for minor human trafficking victims and in connection with requiring a post-enactment review of the implementation of this act.
What a gentleman. Thank you. Representative.
You go first or you go first? You go first.
Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 185, and there are no committee reports.
Thank you. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Senate Bill 185 is one of our ongoing efforts to combat the rise of human trafficking in the state of Colorado. This bill is specifically about victims of human trafficking who are minors, so under the age of 18. And this bill affords certain protections to them so that they can feel more comfortable reporting what's going on in their lives and making sure that they're not actually the ones who are charged with crimes when they are being the victims of human trafficking. Often when somebody is the victim of human trafficking, they actually commit crimes themselves in the furtherance of their sexual servitude to somebody else. And so this bill makes it clear that they won't be charged for those crimes if it's shown that they are the victims of human trafficking. It's a great way to start making a huge impact on combating human trafficking in the state of Colorado, and I would ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Exactly what he said. Couldn't have said it better. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Representatives. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 185? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 185. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 185 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 174.
Senate Bill 174 by Senators Garcia and Hill, also Representatives Buentello and Neville, concerning tuition assistance eligibility for dependent children of certain persons in connection with determining eligibility for dependents of prisoners of war, military personnel missing in action, National Guardsmen, law enforcement officers, and firefighters.
Representative Buentello.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to the Committee of the Whole for considering this bill today. It is my honor to present this small but mighty bill with Mr. Minority Leader Neville today.
Can you move the bill, Representative?
Excuse me. I move Senate Bill 174.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. As I started to say, this proposal, it's a statute fix, simply ensures that Colorado dependents of law enforcement, fire, or National Guard personnel that are killed or disabled in the line of duty can access tuition assistance funds appropriate for their use. This is a technical statute fix, but the short version right now is that there are children in the state who can't access tuition assistance as a result of some red tape, and this bill simply seeks to clean up that red tape.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is a good bill, like Representative Buentello said. It's a kind of a cleanup, but this actually does help our Gold Star families. It makes their lives a little easier. It cuts a lot of the red tape from them, and it's just a little bit we can do to make their lives easier, and I urge yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 174? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 174. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Senate Bill 174 passes. Mr. Randall, please, Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we proceed out of order for the consideration of House Bill 1203.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1203.
House Bill 1203 by Representative Mullica, also Senator Todd, concerning the creation of a grant program to increase the number of school nurses.
Representative Mullica.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, it is an absolute honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you also.
Madam Chair, I would like to move House Bill 1203 with the Appropriations Committee and the Education Committee reports.
Thank you, Representative Mullica. To the Appropriations Report.
Madam Chair, there was an amendment J002 to the Appropriations Committee report to make sure that we fund the bill. The bill will be funded mostly out of the one-time marijuana tax cash fund, with a small portion coming from the general fund.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations Report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Appropriations Report is passed. To the Education Committee report, Representative Mullica.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I have an amendment to the Education Committee report. We had an amendment in the Education Committee.
Representative, do you want to move your amendment?
Yes. I move Amendment L003 and ask that it be appropriately displayed.
The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we had an amendment in the Education Committee to really work with our rural school districts. This bill is really trying to get school nurses into rural schools and Title I schools. But we wanted to make sure that rural schools had the ability, if they couldn't find a nurse right off the bat, that they could partner with their local public health agencies or other agencies within their community to try to fill that need. And what this amendment does is it amends that to where they can partner with a registered nurse. And I would ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on L003? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of L003 to the, are we on the education report? Yes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The amendment passes. To the committee report, Representative Mullica.
To the bill?
Are you, do we?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I spoke about the amendment that we ran already in the Education Committee. It passed out of Education Committee unanimous, and I would ask for your aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the education report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Education Committee report to House Bill 1203. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. No. The report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Mullica.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is a really good bill. We have an issue in the state of Colorado where we have an average about 1,500 to 1,700 students to every nurse. And what this bill is doing is we're trying to get more school nurses into our schools and into those harder to serve schools, those rural school districts and those Title I school districts. And so this is a grant program that these schools will be able to apply to really try to get these nurses in there, and that they can apply continuously. And so I think it's a really good bill, and I would ask for your yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1203? Representative Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I did hear this in committee, and I thought this was a very good, worthy use. I appreciate that you're using the marijuana funds and that you're not going into the education fund. So I was a yes on this, and I would encourage all our members to vote yes.
Thank you, Representative Buck. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1203? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1203 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The bill passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1315.
House Bill 1315 by Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez and Michelson Janae, also Senator Gonzalez, concerning the admissibility of statements by a juvenile.
Hold on. Wait.
Representative Michelson Janae.
Madam Chair, we asked permission to take a selfie with the board with the two longest names on the board, and would like to congratulate the coders of the board for getting our names on there.
Permission is granted. Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
And an honor to serve with you.
Madam Chair, I move House Bill 1315 and the Judiciary Report.
Thank you, Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez, to the Judiciary Report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the Judiciary Report, we did make an amendment, a very minor kind of technical language amendment, and I can explain that it was with regards to how we are defining the rights in this case with regards to juvenile Miranda rights is what we're talking about. So, do you have anything to add? I ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Representative.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. I got real word.
Wait. Are you? Yeah. Okay.
Did you call on me?
Okay. Representative Benavides, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Madam Chair, I was in the committee that heard this bill, and I had a couple of concerns, as did Representative Roberts. So we have an amendment coming, and he's getting some guidance from the drafter. So I'll explain what the issue is that when children are being interrogated, and if they're minors, a parent or a guardian or some other adult needs to be in there with them. And so whether or not they're there to offer advice with respect to their legal or constitutional rights, or else just with respect to the rights afforded under Miranda, is what the concern is. And so we have an amendment or a couple of amendments, because we're amending the committee report, is to clarify that if a parent or a guardian or other adult is there, that they are there and have the opportunity to offer some guidance and advice with regard to those rights afforded under Miranda. But we don't want to assume they have any other abilities with regard to advising on legal or constitutional rights. So these are amendments brought by Representative Roberts and I. So if I could ask that Representative Roberts be able to come up and address this, because he got the advice from the drafter. Go ahead.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, so I was the only no vote in committee, but I appreciate the sponsors and all the stakeholders working with me to come up with some amendments that I think get me to a good, comfortable place, and I think should get the body to a comfortable place. So with that, I move L008 and ask that it be displayed.
L008 is properly displayed. Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now that 8 is moved, I move L007 as a substitute amendment and ask that it be displayed. So,
Please proceed.
thank you, Madam Chair. So L007 further defines or makes clear what the definition of protective counseling is, and I think this definition makes it clear that we are not ascribing any legal educational duties onto the parents when they are in this situation. So I'd ask for an aye vote on L007.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a friendly amendment, members, so I do ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on L007? Seeing none, the question before us is the substitution of L007 to L008. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The amendment is adopted. Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I withdraw L008.
Okay. Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I just want to thank Representatives Ales Gutierrez and Michelson Jin for this, for bringing this bill, and I would just suggest that the General Assembly invest in some bigger boards. Thank you.
We're on the committee. We need to pass it. We have to pass the judiciary part. Oh. Representative Michelson Janae to the.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representatives Benavides, Roberts, and Carver for working so hard with us to make sure that we got this to a really good point where we can protect children and not expect too much of the legal knowledge of the parents, but simply get to a point where we know that the child is being advised in a way that is not contrary to their interests. We ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and this is to the committee report. So I've got a question. My question regards this amendment that just passed. Would it still be an adverse action if a parent was to advise their child during this process to tell the truth?
Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, if the parent or other adult has an adverse interest to the child, that would come up. If the child attempted to say, I couldn't give this relinquishment of my right to remain silent. So it would come up in that process, just like for any other adult or juvenile.
Representative Sane.
So I'm taking the answer as yes. If a parent advises a child that to tell the truth, that would be adverse.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you. It would only be considered adverse if it's not within the best interest of the child. If they're trying to coerce, that's the issue.
Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, adverse interest is, my understanding of it and what was explained in the committee, is oftentimes in a situation there are more than one individual involved and there may be culpability shared. Like the example they gave us where a child named O, that wasn't his name, but they referred to him as O, he had done something sexually inappropriate with a stepbrother or stepsister. And as a result, the parent, they called the police, and the parent then physically punished the boy, hit the boy and hurt him. So the father may have been facing some of his own legal issues for hurting the boy, and then the boy faced legal issues with regard to
One moment,
the
Representative
suspicion
Benavides.
of
Members,
sexually
it's getting loud.
assaulting the child. So those interests are adverse to one another because they came out of the same situation and both parties could be culpable. But under the statute, as the parent, and it was the only parent around, they could still be there to assure that the child was advised properly, but that would be in a subsequent action. That's what adverse means. It's not whether they lie or don't lie. It's just adverse interests.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It seems like there's some confusion amongst the sponsors on what this means, and honestly, I'm not sure I'm getting a clear answer on this, but let me read you something that my sheriff has written because he has some concern about this. He has had some experience with this. He says the current law requires a juvenile to have a parent present when they're advised of their constitutional rights prior to the questioning of a crime. This bill would require that law enforcement ensure that the parent does not have an adverse interest to the juveniles. In other words, when a parent tells their child to tell the truth to the police for an incident they were involved in, would become open to a challenge in the court trial process. That does sound like what Representative Benavides had just explained to us. So essentially, this bill bothers me as a parent. It seems like it is stripping away parental rights, and I'm probably going to be a no vote on this bill despite the amendment that came forward in the committee report.
Representative Gonzalez-Gutierrez.
I just want to clarify that this is not stripping away the parents' rights. And in fact, it's also about protecting the parents' rights. Because there are times when a child goes into a foster home and then that foster parent has the ability to be a adult in a responsible capacity. And they could give the right, and they could waive Miranda rights for a juvenile and not include the biological parents who may still have their parental rights still intact. So I just want to be clear, this is not taking away the rights, and this is simply protecting young people from, disclosing information if that parent has a conflict. So we're talking about in this situation where a father physically beat his child because of an act that happened or allegedly happened in the home. He physically beat his child, then he waived the Miranda rights for that child to make a confession of an alleged incident. That is what we're talking about. That is what we're saying. We need to make sure that our young people have their constitutional rights just as adults do in these same situations, and that they're not being taken advantage of, and that they are afforded their due process. We have many young people who end up in these situations who are, again, as I mentioned earlier, also victims themselves. I can tell you the population that ends up in the juvenile justice system, a high percentage of them have been victimized themselves, be it sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. So I tell you, members, that's what this is about.
Is there any further discussion on the judiciary report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the judiciary report as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Michelson-Janae.
Thank you, members, and thank you for listening to this debate. We did work very hard to make sure that the youth interests and the parents' interests are considered here, and that we are not ascribing too much in the level of legal knowledge requirements for the parents, and that we can give youth the right to have their constitutional rights protected. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also wanted to give a shout out to Representative Soper for his help on this as well. You know, we did a lot of work reaching across the aisle to, you know, as my colleague has explained, to really do this bill the best justice that we could. And so I do ask for support on this issue so that we can continue to protect young people.
Is there any further discussion on Representative Roberts?
Thank you, Madam Chair. One question for the bill sponsors, because I do think that courts of appeals are going to be listening to, or going to take a look at this record when they are trying to interpret this new law. Is it the belief or the intent of the sponsors that if a parent does not have specialized legal knowledge in this area, that they cannot give proper guidance to their child?
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Madam Chair, that would not be my belief. You know, nobody's asking for parents to be experts in this legal language or as an attorney. They would be given the same advisement, and so it's the same advisement they would be given as an adult, and them as being adults and responsible for these youth and children, then that would be the same knowledge they would have regardless.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1315? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1315. Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This was a very difficult situation that we heard on this bill in testimony. The sponsors have worked diligently with the DAs and the defense bar to try and come up with language that will deal appropriately with these situations and ensure that both the child's interests and the parents' interests are protected and that appropriate guidance and rights are given. So I would urge a yes vote on this bill, and I appreciate the work of the sponsors, which has been very collaborative, looking for language that would get the job done.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1315? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1315. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The bill passes. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nice work today, everybody. I move the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. We have been asked to rise and report. All those in the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Randall, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your committee will basically report has under its consideration following types of business there's the recommendations thereon. House Bill 1002 is amended House Bill 1055 is amended House 1085 is amended House Bill 1203 is amended House Bill 1237 is amended House Bill 1240 is amended House Bill 1242 is amended House Bill 1277 is amended House Bill 1283 is amended House Bill 1292 is amended House Bill 1306 is amended House Bill 1311 is amended House Bill 1315 is amended House Bill 1316 is amended House Bill 1321 passing your order goes kind of third and final passage. Senate Bill 3, Senate Bill 86, Senate Bill 162, Senate Bill 170, Senate Bill 174, Senate Bill 178 as amended, Senate Bill 185 passing your vice post kind of third and final passage.
Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez. You have heard the motion. There's one amendment at the desk. Mr. Randall, please read the Humphrey amendment.
Representative Humphrey moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole diversity action taken by the committee and not adopting the following Humphrey Amendment L 004 to House Bill 1316. So said passed. House Bill 1316 is amended passed.
Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I think most of you were here when we had this conversation. But what this simply says is that we respect parental rights when it comes to a 16 to 18 range where parents can go ahead and give permission as long as the underage party is over age 16 and consents to the proposed marriage, and the other party of the proposed marriage is not more than 2 years older. This is not the age range that is problematical. I don't know of any instance of this being where you're having human trafficking and the like. We're usually concerned about a 25-year-old, a 35-year-old marrying a child and that being coerced, and certainly that's the strength of the bill along with the other provisions. But I do believe when it comes to parental rights, we should respect that and not take it away and insert the government in the middle of it. And so I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Did you move it? Please move it.
Madam Speaker, I move the Humphrey Amendment to the Committee of the Whole.
Representative Hansen.
Thanks so much, Madam Speaker. And members, I would ask for a no vote on this amendment. We did have, I think, a great discussion previously on this. This is a bill about protecting minors. Parents are explicitly included in the bill language. The GAL that is appointed, their job is to make sure that they are looking out for the best interests of the minor, and they consult with the parents. They have all of the chance to talk to the parents. I don't believe this is the right direction to go, and I ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Humphrey Amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Please close the machine. With 19 aye votes, 45 no votes, and 1 excused, the Humphrey Amendment is lost. That brings us back to the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please vote. Kelly. McKean, Catlin, Will. Will, Catlin, McKean. Okay, please close the machine. With 47 aye votes, 18 no votes, and 1 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is passed. Announcements, yes? And introductions? Announcements and introductions? Yeah, okay. Announcements and introductions. Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Transportation and Local Government Committee, we were going to have a delightful lunch today. As you may have guessed by this point, and the fact that most of you have probably had lunch, we're going to need to reschedule that, but we will be in touch about that. So lunch is off for the day. Thank you.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So members, if I could have your attention, please. I made a huge mistake yesterday. And it's because I listened to Representative Sane.
Apparently I need a guardian ad litem.
And she's going to blame Representative Buck. Yeah?
All right, so
she just told, no, wait. Okay. She told me, she comes and whispers in my ear, Rod, R-O-D, Rod. And it's like, okay, so we sing to Bachenfeld. It's Representative Rod Helton's birthday. So let's sing for the right Rod.
Hey, I just want to say...
Right Rod.
I just want to say...
Right Rod.
Right, Rod. That's right. And members, if you save the rod, you spoil the caucus. Just kidding. Sorry.
Okay, are we ready?
No, wait. People are coming down. Here goes Froilich.
Okay, hurry up. Okay.
The sound of Froilich.
Happy birthday to Right Rod. Happy birthday to Right Rod. Happy birthday to Right Rod.
Happy birthday, Representative Pelton. Any other announcements? Representative Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't see them within my eyes, and well, Leon's given me the, I don't know, but Cripple Creek High School, Cripple Creek Victor High School students were here earlier on the floor, and they're up there roaming around somewhere. Just wanted to recognize that my constituents from Teller County are here today. Welcome, students, wherever you are.
Representative Bachenfeld.
Thank you. It's an honor to serve with you, Madam Speaker.
And it's an honor to serve with you.
Yes, just like Representative Baisley said, I also have a group of students here today. They were going to show up about 1 o'clock. So it looks like we're going to be out of here by the time they come through. But the First Start Christian Academy out of Brighton, Colorado is here today. And if you bump into them in the hallway, welcome them. Thank you very much.
Representative Hansen.
Thanks so much, Madam Speaker. Members of House Appropriations, if you're not sick of me yet, wait till May 4th. Here we go again. Tomorrow morning, 7:30 gavel. House Bills 1006, 1159, 1223, 1226, 1278, 1294, 1300, 1302, 1309, 1318. Senate Bills 254, 133, 137, 154, 164, 166, 167. See everyone bright and early.
Are there any other announcements or introductions? Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Nice job, everybody. Just an announcement that we won't be coming back to the floor today. And I want to be respectful of everyone's holiday, the religious holidays that are coming up. So we will do some floor work in the morning, but we'll try to keep it, as light as possible and be respectful of the holidays, but also recognize how much work everyone's put in this week, which is very much appreciated. So with that, Madam Speaker, I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will be in recess till later today.